Good afternoon, everybody. Wow, what a venue. This is kind of incredible. I gotta tell you, it's really nice to be at an event like this on this side of the bay. It feels like Silicon Valley is moving a little bit north and east, doesn't it? So about 9 years ago, I co-founded a company, and one of the very first events that we came to was a Vator event. And I remember meeting Bambi Francisco and a couple different entrepreneurs and being just really inspired. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about our story since then and maybe inspire some of you all. Just to start, has anybody out there heard of TubeMogul? Few hands. Did anybody think I said T-Mobile? I promise you the story is better than the name. And just to give you a little bit of context for what we do, we build software that makes brand advertising a little bit more simple and accountable. And large companies use our software to manage their advertising. We essentially automate things that used to be really manual, like the planning and execution of ad buys. And in doing so, we give a lot of control and transparency back to advertisers. Now, we're very fortunate to have some of the world's largest advertisers log into our software every single day. And increasingly, these advertisers are consolidating their ad budgets in our software. So last year, we saw 414 million in ad spend through our software. We're projecting nearly 600 million this year. And because of that traction and because of that growth, we were able to take the company public in July of 2014. Here's a picture from that day. It was an amazing day. Those are two of my three kids up front. We didn't bring the little one because this would have been just total chaos had we done that. But I do worry one day he's gonna see this picture and he's gonna be like, Dad, where the hell was I during that? But that's definitely not where it started for us. Our story began in business school at the Haas School of Business at Berkeley. And this is a picture of us winning the UC Berkeley Business Plan competition in 2007. Here's myself, here's John, my co-founder, and the $22,000, it's actually $22,500 that we won, that was our startup capital. And I remember at the time our spouses were in the audience, and I think if they were honest with you now, they'd tell you they didn't think there was a snowball's chance in hell that we would win this thing. And if they knew that winning meant that we were gonna go work for free for several years, they probably wouldn't have wanted us to win either. But we did win. Now, this guy in the middle, his name is Keith. And Keith was actually 1 year below us in business school. And we thought Keith was really good, and he wrote part of our business plan. And so we invited him to join the team as a co-founder. But Keith decided to go be a consultant with the Boston Consulting Group instead. Boo. But fortunately, 2 years later, Keith came back and he joined the company. Now he's our chief marketing and strategy officer. He just has a little bit less equity than he would have if he would have started when we asked him to the first time. Now looking back, we just didn't have that much going for us in retrospect. I mean, our office was in the basement of a hotel. We had never started a software company before. We didn't come from the advertising space. I'd never raised money before. We only had $22,500. But what we did have is a set of values that we shared. And we always prioritized those values above everything else. So while we didn't know exactly what the multi-year product vision would be and where the business model would go, we always knew what type of company that we wanted to be and what type of company that we wanted to build. And we prioritized those things. And looking back, I think it was that insight, along with a couple others, including not being afraid to look at the world a little bit differently and challenge the status quo, and being really humble and self-aware and continuing to pivot until we were really addressing a large and growing market. I think these were some of the reasons for our success. Now, if I could bring you back to 2007, we were all just beginning to watch video online. And we thought that it was probably going to be a pretty big thing. And when that happened, that there'd probably be a big market around it as well. And of course, there is now. This is the digital video ad market. But at the time, there were no market sizing charts. This was just an instinct. Our second insight was that when people started watching video online, over time, they'd probably start to go seamlessly from big screens like televisions to small screens like desktop computers and tablets. Actually, that was before the tablet, and smartphones. And we thought, maybe if we build software that somehow connects the dots here, maybe we'd be onto something. So our first product, it was called OneLoad, also well named. And OneLoad was software for content creators. And this was back before YouTube had one, so there were a lot of different video sharing sites. What the software did is you could upload a video to us just once, and then the software syndicated out to all of these video sharing sites in one fell swoop. And then we'd aggregate the analytics into a single dashboard. Now, within a year, we had hundreds of thousands of users. And these users were content creators like media companies and new media companies and record labels. There were some advertisers. We even had politicians. And one of our big early users was the 2008 presidential campaign for Barack Obama, and that was exciting. And John McCain, he didn't use the software. Maybe he should have. But when we really got serious about trying to monetize OneLoad, what we found is that the problems that we solved, they just weren't painful enough where there was a willingness to pay. We really didn't think that we could truly address that market that we were excited about. And so we pivoted the company. Now, one of the pieces of technology that we developed at the time was a little bit of code that goes inside a video player that can tell the owner of the video player who's watching and how long. So we took that code and we actually acquired a small analytics company. We relaunched as a video analytics product. And again, within a year, we were doing really well. We were the predominant video analytics provider in the world. We had a great product. We had thousands of users. We had the New York Times and A&E. But then again, when we really got serious about trying to monetize this offering, it was just really difficult. And we didn't really see how we built a big business. Now, at the time, we'd raised a couple rounds of funding, and we were doing pretty well. I mean, we were hitting the goals. Everybody was happy. It's just when we were intellectually honest with ourselves, which is sometimes hard to do because of dissonance, because we all justify the decisions that we've already made. But when we were really honest, we didn't see it. So when we started evaluating, what are we good at? What do we really have? We thought, well, we're good at building software that simplifies things that are complex, and we're good at helping content creators of video get their videos watched and tracked. So we thought, well, maybe if we flip this concept, and like we help content creators syndicate their video, we'll help advertisers automate their ad buys. And we'll use our experience in analytics to help advertisers understand whether or not their ad buys are effective or not. And of course, that insight is the foundation for the company that we built since. Now, along the way, we were also unafraid just to look at the world a little bit differently and to take a stand even when it wasn't a popular thing to do. So 2011, we launched our ad platform, and advertisers tell us it's too expensive to buy video ads through you guys. Now, when we dug in, what we found is that many of these advertisers, they were buying pre-roll ads, what they thought were pre-roll ads, and a pre-roll is a video ad before a piece of video content. But actually, those ads were running autoplay in a banner, like this one. Not only is that not a pre-roll, presumably it's not as effective, and the sound's on, they're really annoying ads. And when we dug in a little bit more, what we found was there was this entire ecosystem that was incentivized to buy cheap ads. And it really felt a lot like the mortgage crisis that had ended just a couple of years earlier, where everybody knew what was going on, but everybody was making money. So we did something that was very unpopular at the time, and we launched a website called fakepreroll.com. And we started highlighting all of these video ads running autoplay in a banner along with the source code of who was serving the ad. Within a week, we learned what a cease and desist was because we got 3 of them. But we had made our point, and we were able to take that website down, and we started to change an industry. Later that year, we produced kind of a cheeky video to call out some of the bad actors in the space. Take a look. Remember, this is from 2011. Quit the sound, please.
Where brains and consumers demand each day, but all is not well. Outlaws are running wild and scaring brands away. But there's a big sheriff in town. A sheriff that despises bandits who steal from brands. A sheriff that wants to eliminate fake pre-rolls and ads running beside awful content. A sheriff that's not afraid to take on the bad guys and give brands what they deserve. It's time to run the outlaws out of town and make the Wild Wild West safe for video advertising. TubeMogul, built for brand.
Yeah. So in 2013, we developed a technology that for the first time helped advertisers understand if their video ads had the opportunity to be viewed. So in other words, they could tell if the video ad was playing below the fold or if it was playing where there was another active tab open, browser window open. And we could have developed this and made it proprietary to our software, but we thought this is just table stakes in advertising. You should know whether or not someone can watch your ad. So we did something that at the time was unprecedented in our space, and we open sourced our code. And we gave it away, and we invited our competitors in to form a consortium with us, and we worked with the industry to form a standard, and we got that done within a year, a new standard for measurement. And creating standards in any industry is tough to do, but we did it in a year by taking a unique approach. And most recently, we've kind of begun to help the advertising industry understand some of the misincentives at play. And we've taken aim at Google in particular. And Google is a company that many of us love for their openness and their innovation. But in the advertising space, they're building out this very closed ecosystem that tends to be good for them, but not for advertisers. So we launched a campaign to educate the world. Take a look.
Okay, Google, what is a walled garden?
Who's asking?
Show me articles about walled gardens and ad tech.
Okay, searching for sprawling gardens in Quebec.
No, search walled garden business models.
Got it. Here are some business models.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, would you like to hear a joke instead?
Google, this is ridiculous.
Knock knock. Who's there? Ha ha ha.
So we try to use a little bit of humor to highlight kind of some of the misincentives and to create a stark contrast with TubeMogul, where our only incentive is to do that which is best for the advertiser. So we try to do things differently. And then back to where I started, we've always prioritized our culture above everything else. And a lot of our culture is about accountability or doing what you say. And if you think back to where we started, I mean, we just didn't have anything, but we did have our word. And we learned that you could build a great company based on just keeping your word and based on following through. And every TubeMoguler knows that the most important part of working at our company is having a high say-to-do ratio. And by making this principle the most important part of the company, we've built an execution machine, a company that has achieved our plan for 35 quarters in a row, a company where in the early days, everybody had sales goals, even the engineers and the CTO, a company where when we were about to miss a major product launch that was important to a new customer that we had signed, we locked ourselves in to the DoubleTree Hotel on the Berkeley waterfront for 7 days, 24/7, until we finished the product. And we did. And we created a conference room called the DoubleTree. And we're always telling stories to remind people of why the culture is so important. So for those of you that are starting companies or thinking about starting companies, it is such an amazing time right now. And I just can't think of a better time to take a risk and start a company and try to change the world. You've got events like this. There's lots of seed capital out there. There's incubators. And if you give it a shot and it doesn't work out, that just becomes a badge of honor that makes you a lot better. So from our story, try to put your culture first and try to be as dogmatic about your culture and the type of company that you want to build as the products that you want to build. Take a stand. Stand for something. Look at the world differently. And then stay humble and self-aware so that you can continue pivoting your business until you're really addressing a large and growing market. And my last bit of advice, don't be Keith. Thank you very much.